Great. Hi, I'm Cleve Langton, and I am Global Chairman of the Effie Global Committee. And I want to welcome you all and thank you for coming here. We have two distinguished guests with us today. Doug, you're head of innovation at Taxi?
Taxi in New York, yeah.
Okay, it's fun. Rick?
I'm one of the co-founders and the COO of the Barbarian Group.
Great. So what we wanted to do today was give you some observations from the winning Effies. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned here. There's a lot of, we call them insights, because what you'll find is a lot of the most effective campaigns are using a lot of very non-traditional media. In fact, most of the ones that have won a lot of the grand Effies have used a huge number of non-traditional media. What we did was we spoke to the judges, and the judges, as you know, are a group of marketers and agency people. And we said, for 2010, what do you think are the top growth areas? What do you project for 2010? Not surprising, social media, social networking, they see a 64% increase. Obviously, this is not quantitative, it's what they said. Online search, not surprising. Online ads. Mobile, that's something that we will discuss a little later, because everybody says this year is the year of mobile, but they keep saying it. And somebody said at the forays, they've been saying that for the last 7 years. We'll actually see if 2010 is the year of mobile. You know, around the world, mobile is tremendous in its influence. And then guerrilla marketing, everybody is projecting an increase in guerrilla marketing. Trends with the greatest impact, again, mobile marketing at 8%, user-generated content. How does everybody feel about user-generated content? Do you think that's still as important as it was? What do you think?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of what everyone's doing.
Right.
Creating an area where people can create stuff is great. I mean, I think that the category is pretty broad. I think what's happening is that brands and publications are creating better tools, and people are raising their, I guess, skill level in this space. I mean, a lot of online gaming is user-generated content. I think the word is a little weird. I mean, social
What's a
media
little overused, probably?
User-generated content are
Yeah.
kind of the same.
I really see the two of them as very intertwined, user-generated content and social media.
Uh-huh.
I mean, user-generated content, is that like a contest where someone makes a video and it goes on
Yeah, like
television?
the
Well, I
Dorito-
think it was a broad question. Where's Erica? What was the question, Erica? You remember?
Basically, just what are they see the trends for 2010, and it's the options that they had to choose from were user-generated content versus marketing. They had to choose one.
Okay, and then again, social marketing. Next.
Yeah, I would err on the side of social marketing of the two, but I really think about it.
Okay, 2009, we analyzed the media used by the entrants. Not surprisingly, 90%, roughly 90% used internet. TV, not declining, basically holding its own. Print, poor radio, by the way, is going down quite a bit, but print is holding its own. PR seems to be doing quite well, and that's because of social media, basically. Out of home, you can see, foolish of me to read through each one of them. But again, the surprising thing here, to me at least, is the impact of PR. And PR, as we know it, has changed dramatically. Next. This is, to me, quite an interesting observation. We took all the winners. Remember, all entries, nobody submits a so-so Effie entry because it costs money. It's a hard thing to pull together. So therefore, all the entries are good. Obviously, the winners are the best. But the interesting thing here is the average number of media used by all entrants is 6. And 79% are using 4 or more. So what we're seeing is, even under smaller budgets, there's a large number of media being used in general and a higher percentage among the winners. To me, that's quite an interesting insight. Next. Then we said, from 2009 to 2008, where was the greatest increase? And we found consumer involvement, again, sort of a vague term there, but it's up almost 70%, still growing. We probably expect something very similar to that this year. Events. And the event business has gone through a lot of change, and it's gone through a lot of problems because of cost and cutbacks, but that's not what we saw in the media being used by the winners, or by all entries. Gorilla, again, up 26%. Cinema, I find that interesting, around 25%. PR, again, up, down. And TV, that's basically flat. Next. Okay, we'll do a little pop quiz, because this will show some of the interesting insights into the Effie winners and entrants. First question. What percentage of winners spent less than $1 million on their campaigns? Can I see a show of hands? How many people think 20%? Less than $1 million? Okay. How many people think 30%? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 40%? Okay, so the vast majority. 50%? And the answer is 30%, which is kind of interesting, because what it's saying is the winners are not necessarily the big spenders. And the interesting thing is, for those people who think that it's just an advertising, the Effies are an advertising thing, the game has changed a lot. Next. Thank you, Angie. What percentage of winners spent more than $40 million? How many people think 55%? I guess you can sort of figure this out. Okay, let's reveal the answer to that one. 15%. So again, it skews much more towards the smaller spending accounts. Next. What was the top goal? This is an interesting question. What was the top goal cited by the winners? What did they want to achieve? How many people think it's expand their audience? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Okay, relaunch brand or product? 1. Okay, the vast majority. So buy or change corporate. Here's the surprising insight into that. Interesting.
It's weird sales isn't on there.
Huh?
It's weird sales isn't on there.
Well, I mean, but yeah, I mean that's
Increased
the bottom
sales,
line,
yeah.
right? Okay, next. So, Rick, you're up. What we asked Rick and Doug to do is pick their favorite campaign, or the campaign they thought most typified success, or the criteria for the Effies. Remember, the primary criteria, the overriding criteria of the Effies is effectiveness. But effectiveness can be defined in many ways. And we're going to show you 3 campaigns today. And I think you're going to see how different effectiveness is defined and how varied the media that's used across each one of these campaigns. So, Rick, you want to take that from here?
Yeah, okay. So this one, Canadian Club, Dan, right? How many of you guys saw this, by the way, since that was a heavily debated topic when we were judging it? This campaign was for Canadian Club, which is a whiskey. It's a Canadian whiskey, which, any whiskey drinkers? Okay, so you guys are basically the market for this. And if you're a whiskey drinker, Canadian whiskeys, especially Canadian Club at this point, is not exactly top of mind. Like, it's really gone to like bourbons and single malts. And there's this sort of, Canadian Club especially was really saddled with this image of being out of date and old fashioned, you know? I mean, as a lush, there are many boozes like this you just kind of stay away from. Early Times, for example, or, you know. So this was one of those, Canadian Club, and what they did is they hadn't been advertising against the brand in quite a long time, which became sort of a challenge in judging it that I'll get to in a minute. But they took their biggest liability. If you want to go to the next slide. Oh, it's going to show the video. Well, okay, well, I'll let you watch the video. But what they did, I thought was really great about it, is they took their biggest liability, this sort of out-of-date, old-fashionedness of it, and they turned that into an asset in a way that I think emotionally resonates with the target audience in a pretty strong way. Like, I'll freely admit that the creative on this was a huge draw for me, since I'm the target and I'm a whiskey drinker and I'm of that age and I have this relationship with my father that they really tapped into. But they did a really good job with that, and I think it just hit the target in a really great way. So let's watch it, and I'll talk about the effectiveness afterwards.
For decades, Canadian Club was the best-selling brand of whiskey in the United States. Men everywhere drank cocktails because cocktails were masculine and sophisticated. But today, not so much. At cocktail time, guys have to make do with girly drinks, juvenile drinks, soccer mom drinks. It's not good, and Canadian Club has suffered sales declines for 16 straight years. What guys need today is a drink that's masculine but still sophisticated. What guys need is Canadian Club. So what's stopping them? Well, they told us it's what their dads drank. Spirits are about being young, hip, attractive. That's not your dad. But wait a minute. Before your dad was Homer Simpson, he was something else. Your dad was young in the 60s and 70s. He went out late. He got phone numbers, sometimes 2 a night. Before he was your dad, he was you. Except he knew what his drink was, Canadian Club. We realized that to get people to rethink Canadian Club, first we had to get them to rethink Dad. We brought this insight to life, where our target guys live. In print, in out-of-home, near bars, in the often ignored areas of on-premise and off-premise point of sale, with in-bar events like shoeshine nights that recall Dad's glory days. Online, we gave consumers the tools to make their own ads, which they did, a lot. Consumers connected with Canadian Club on a whole new level. We made your dad aspirational, and his drink too. Canadian Club. Damn right your dad drank it.
So I think, yeah, okay, we're going to go through the case study of it. Basically, the strategic challenge, of course, is to restore the vitality to a dormant brand, And I think that they handled that really well. Can you just show the whole slide so I can talk through it? It would be really good. Oh, it's all...
No, we'll have it
it's one by one.
Yeah.
Right, there we go.
Promise.
Awesome. So, like taking that liability of like feeling old-fashioned and turning it into a strength is really awesome, and taking the major criticism of the brand and turning it into a positive is really great. The results were interesting. I mean, if you read the whole case study in the PDF form, they're just straight dead-on astronomically solid. I mean, they didn't spend a lot of money on it, but they had immediately reversed sales. They had the largest year-on-year, quarter-on-quarter growth in, I think, 16 years or something like that. It was like the first increase in sales in ages, like more than 5 years, Ultimately, as a judge, it became a bit of an issue because they hadn't advertised against the brand in the past. So we couldn't judge this campaign against another campaign. But what it really did was it quantified the efficacy of quality advertising, which was really awesome. I mean, we still wrestle with that all the time, the 50% wasted versus the 50% that's effective. This one was dead on. There's just no doubt. You watch the graph and there's zero advertising. They do this campaign, it goes way up. It made it a challenge to compare its efficacy against other campaigns, but it was a very clear case study of effective advertising. Plus, I just really love the create. I mean, I'm a creative, even though I'm a COO. And I mean, it's just dead on for the demographic, I mean, my dad grew up in a small town, and as everybody there is getting old, like, all the people are starting to, you don't think about your dad in that way until everybody starts like getting a little tipsy in their 60s and gossiping about their youth and letting on that like everybody loved the guy. It's perfect. Everybody in that target group, a lot of people have that relationship with their father, and tapping into that emotional connection as you grow up and start thinking about your parents in different ways and respecting their history was, I think, a really brilliant move.
Great. Questions on this? Points of view on this? Issues on this? Anybody? No. Doug,
It's my turn.
it's your turn.
Okay, well, I chose the Burger King Whopper Freakout campaign by Chris Porter. One of the main reasons why is because when I was in high school, my third job was working at Burger King. And so this campaign was really close to me in the respect that it didn't do what normal campaigns do in food, which is to showcase beautiful food, showcase people eating it, creating an exaggerated, wonderful experience. This, in fact, takes the product out of the hands of the consumer and shows the consumer in fear, because they fear change. And And what I thought was really interesting is they took something which is probably their biggest weakness, which is their real estate and what it looks like, and made it the centerpiece for their campaign.
Great.
So here's the video.
Hello, baby. Guess what these motherfuckers done did at Burger King? These motherfuckers done took away from the motherfucking Whopper.
Heavens to Betsy. The Whopper. It's America's most beloved burger and has been for the past 50 years. But how do you prove love? Burger King decided to prove it by taking away the Whopper for one day in one town to see what would happen. What happened was the Whopper freakout. A town in Middle America was chosen to serve as the stage for this day of deprivation. It was rigged with cameras inside and out. Trained actors posing as BK employees explained this new reality to unsuspecting patrons.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew. I'm the manager of this particular Burger King. I apologize for the delay. I do need to let everyone know that the Whopper has been discontinued forever.
The nature of our social experiment meant that we truly didn't know what would happen. Burger King went into it wondering, would this elaborate scheme really prove that people love the Whopper or just piss them off?
They discontinued the Whopper.
Thankfully, it did both.
I need my Whopper. How about that? Whoppers are fun?
Like, that's it. Unfortunately, we no longer have Whoppers.
You cannot be serious. Is this a joke? I want your manager at the window when I get there.
To push the experiment further, we substituted a competitor's alternative for the Whopper.
Supposed to be a Whopper.
Okay, that's a Wendy's burger.
This ruse was not well received.
I hate McDonald's.
I hate Wendy's.
A roving reporter armed with a local newspaper corroborating the story was hired to capture people's candid reactions to the discontinuation of the Whopper.
The Burger King doesn't have the Whopper. They might as well change their name to Burger Queen.
Yeah.
What are you gonna put on the logo now? Yeah, home of the whatever we got?
After the experiment, it was decided to cut the hundreds of hours of footage into 15 and 30-second TV spots, and audio from the drive-thru was turned into radio ads, all of which would lead people to WhopperFreakout.com, where a streaming 8-minute documentary of the experiment could be found.
Well, this started out as a stunt, but now it's become an internet sensation.
Some folks began contributing to the hype with homemade freakout parodies.
You discontinued the Whopper?
Oh my God.
No burgers here anymore.
How may I help you? Hey, young man, let me get a Whopper with no cheese. What you mean you ain't got no Whoppers? This ain't no Burger King without no goddamn Whoppers. That's the best-selling goddamn product y'all got. Y'all ain't got no motherfucking Whoppers.
It is said that absence makes the heart grow fonder. But as Whopper Freakout proved, if you love something enough, absence actually makes you freak out.
Just want my Whopper.
Just want my triple Whopper.
I want my Whopper.
Get me a Whopper.
Okay.
Good when we sort of
Yeah,
did.
so what was really unique about this was that there wasn't really a new product being released. I mean, typically a lot of the interest generated for Burger King is that they add more bacon, or they add barbecue sauce, or it's Swiss cheese, or it's roasted onions, or it's a Western product, or whatever. This is their, kind of their lead product that has almost been forgotten, and they're drawing attention to it just by taking it away. It's so very simple. From an execution standpoint, it's one location. It's an actual property, which is fantastic for the franchisees. And it leads itself really well to being spread. I mean, the humor.
Well, the viral stuff must have
of
been
actual
incredible.
consumers. Yeah, the word viral always frightens me.
Yeah, well,
Frightened by that
the
word.
bacterial.
The way it spread was exciting. But yeah, I mean, the way that actual consumers were able to copy it and make their own on YouTube was fantastic. It wasn't a prescribed elf yourself type of a situation. It was legitimately something that people could grab onto and share and copy. The one thing actually that a lot of judges were concerned about with this was the double-digit increase in quarterly sales. They felt like it could have had more depth in terms of how much growth.
Right.
Yeah, we wrestled with that a lot on the grand jury with this one.
Yeah, I mean, but the creative, I think, was so powerful and so magnetic that it made it really easy to let it win.
I also think it's these guys are choosing campaigns that are obviously not in their agency, so that's kind of nice too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know Jeff really well, Jeff Benjamin, who does all the digital stuff at Crispin, and he shared this with me in process, and I was just floored by it as it was being made. It's an amazing idea. I mean, it's just the simplicity of it, and the whole, it takes on this kind of punked vibe, as well as like a mock documentary kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And it really becomes entertainment. It's not really an advertisement as much as a piece of content.
You know, I'm glad you chose this, because when we look through the Effies, a lot of the winners are using techniques that are very non-traditional. I don't know what traditional is anymore. I don't know what new media is anymore, but they're using techniques that really, really draw the consumer into the product. And it's very experiential. We saw that in Kimberly-Clark. Remember the sofa that moved around the country? Remember that campaign? And Tickle Me Elmo. Erica, that won a what? Gold Effie. And so we're seeing a lot more of these things. And I think as you see these things, it should spark ideas of what you can do for your own brands or for your client brands. Okay, third one up is Haagen-Dazs, and that is really doing good can be very, very good business. So, by the way, oh,
there's no getting around it. Sorry.
Okay, again from Goodby. Goodby's the agency here. Can we roll the video?
We don't know if it's an advertising truth or not, but if your client has to appear before Congress, you either did something really good or really bad. Turns out it was something really good. The client in the hot seat? Haagen-Dazs, makers of super premium ice cream, a brand that in the past had been sold as a glamorous fashion accessory, a brand that even to this day you'd expect to find beside images of silver spoons and self-indulgent yuppies. Who would have guessed that an advertising agency would, instead, turn its marketing lens towards the unsung workforce responsible for creating the ice cream's ingredients, one that, as it turns out, is in grave danger. It all started with a strange phenomenon in nature. Honeybees are disappearing, and nobody knows why. An alarming fact that, in time, could lead to the demise of nearly 1/3 of all the natural foods we humans eat, including nearly half of all the all-natural ingredients found in Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And so, in March of 2008, Haagen-Dazs embarked on a fully integrated marketing effort to help bring the honeybees back. It began with the pledge to donate $250,000 to Penn State and UC Davis to help fund honeybee research. A pledge made instantly real with the launch of a new flavor, Vanilla Honeybee, in honor of the cause. At the same time, Haagen-Dazs launched HelpTheHoneybees.com, where visitors can learn about the problem, donate to the cause, and help spread the word. Next, we needed people to visually connect with the problem and become emotionally invested in the cause. And what better way to do this than through the power of television? We also developed print ads celebrating our new Vanilla Honeybee flavor and connecting it to the problem so that people would know they could help the cause simply by enjoying our ice cream. But we knew we needed to give people ways to actively help out, beyond just eating our ice cream. So we created a magazine insert made of seed paper that consumers could tear out, crumple up, and bury in the ground to grow wildflowers for honeybees to feed on. Through the miracle of dance, we were able to bring the problem to the attention of millions of Earth-conscious YouTubers who, it turns out, were starved for content with this sort of substance. We partnered with consumer magazines to create custom advertorials, created tie-ins with popular food websites, and even employed Facebook's popular graffiti drawing application to help people express and share their concern. At farmers markets and green events nationwide, Haagen-Dazs educated people about colony collapse disorder, while handing out samples of Vanilla Honeybee ice cream and wildflower seed packets. Through digital outreach, Haagen-Dazs invited community groups and schools to join in the cause by donating bee-friendly flower seeds to help foster urban community gardens and farms. But on top of all of this, and perhaps most profoundly, Haagen-Dazs, together with a coalition of national beekeepers, testified before the House Agricultural Subcommittee on June 26, 2008, to urge Congress to allocate funding for additional honeybee research.
Haagen-Dazs ice cream challenges other consumer products companies reliant on pollinators to join us in educating the public and helping in efforts needed to save this essential natural resource.
A move that House Representative Dennis Cordoza called extraordinary. We're pretty sure our friends the honeybees would agree.
So if we can go through, just to go through again the reanimate the brand and its sales. I mean, clearly it's all sales goals behind it, but again, it's doing good. In fact, we've instituted, Erica, the Doing Good Effie is?
Yeah, this year they're introducing a new category for good works, which is honoring pieces that are doing well by doing good on the brand side and nonprofit pro bono efforts on the nonprofit side.
And again, this isn't gratuitous. This is, you have to prove effectiveness. By the way, I want to introduce Angie, Erica, and where is Denise? Denise? There's Denise. All the Effies, and I'm going to ask them at the end just to make some comments. So I think you've seen this. All natural ice cream should preserve its all natural workforce. Basically, you can read this. The idea of is doing good was a very effective way of building sales. I want to switch to something Axe. How many people are familiar with Axe? Pretty neat. You know, it's probably won every award under the sun, both Clio's, I think every creative award. It's Unilever. It's very very conservative company, but a very, very rebel brand. But the point is, it won a significant recognition in the Effies too for effectiveness. It's an edgy campaign. So I'd like to just show that to you now.
Now entering soft scrub.
Take me now, take me baby. Take me to the edge of explosion. Love me baby.
Now entering
Love me now. Love me baby. Love me on our way to a dark star.
spray. Commencing blow dry.
The new Axe Detailer Shower Tool. A soft black side, a rough red side.
Take me, baby. Take me now. Take me, baby. Take me to the edge of explosion. Love me, baby. Love me now. Love me, baby. Love me on our way to a dark star. Take me, baby. Take me, baby. Love me, baby. Love me, baby. Take me, baby. Take me now. Take me, baby.
interesting thing about this brand, it created a whole new category. And what it did, when I think when we review the big winners on the Effies, Dove is on one spectrum, and then this is on the other spectrum. And totally different target, but I mean, look what they've achieved here. It's just really extraordinary what this brand has achieved. And I guess BBH is the agency on that.
Yep.
And just phenomenal recognition among that target audience. And again, this is totally grounded in effectiveness. And you can see how they pulled it across a very wide spectrum of mediums. Okay, can we go to some issues now? I'm making your life very miserable here. We keep hearing this. We just get an audience reaction on this? How many people are marketers here? Okay. Agency? Okay, that's good enough. Question. How do you feel that 2010, can I see a show of hands, how many people think 2010 is going to be the year that mobility, that mobile marketing finally reaches its rightful role in the US like it has in the rest of the world? Can I see a show of hands how many people think it's going to be from what your clients are saying or you as marketers are saying about mobility, mobile marketing? What do you think? How many people think it's going to have major impact in 2010? Okay. Anybody care to comment why you think it's just lagging behind the rest of the world? Yeah?
Because our carriers are they're
good point. Good point.
They're not really the carriers aren't really investing in relationships with agencies or with marketers. I mean, it's really hard. I think what Apple's done in the space has made it really prolifically easy for people to do it, but they don't cover the entire market, and I think a lot of marketers are looking for ubiquity when they get into these programs, and that makes it more difficult. But there's a lot of players that are doing a really great job, but I don't think the innovation is happening in the United States.
I think that's a very good point.
I think there's been as the browser actually on the mobile devices gets better, a lot of people sometimes just consider it to be an equivalent platform. I mean, the iPhone had a revolutionary browser. The BlackBerry is adopting an equally capable browser. So they're almost becoming the same platform in a lot of ways. The apps have like specific functions that make it easier. There's a usability enhancement, but as people adopt smartphones with good browsers, I think a lot of people are just like, well, I can deploy one campaign across both.
Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. I was in Japan 2 months ago, and as you know, in Japan, the cell phone, the mobile phone is everything. You go up to the vending machine and wave it in front of the vending machine, now comes your product, and you've been charged. It's quite incredible. Okay, next question. What do you think about this? The impact of social media and the merging of PR and advertising. AdForum is going to do something at their session on, well, we're doing something on social media and mobility, but we're also doing on something, has digital and PR and advertising kind of, have they been homogenized because of social media? How many people think that the role of PR and digital and general advertising is kind of amalgamated to some extent because of social media? Show of hands. So quite a few of you. Are you, any interesting examples of where you've seen the, I mean, as far as, do you have any example of something? Yeah? It's a very good point.
That's happening all the time now.
That is a very, very good point.
I mean, I think if you look at the historical, it makes sense, and especially like a lot of these people are having PR lead it because they had to deal with it from, trade publications and mainstream publications were who they originally worked with, and those became blogs, and then blogs went into influencers who had their own blogs, they were fans, and then it just became a dude with a blog, and that's basically the same thing as the consumer, you know what I mean? So we've subconsciously made the PR agency our lead engagement agency and everyone online, because now everyone's basically the press. But the problem is they have a different set of emotions, whereas like it's a commercial blog, you can give them swag, you can pay them, you can do some co-sponsorship deal. But as a consumer, if I'm just writing a blog about soda because I love soda pop, like I don't want to be bribed in the same way that a professional blog about that does. And so I think that's why the PR agencies are really wrestling with it.
But I think that's a very good comment. You don't know where to give the briefs these days. And that blurring of the lines is fascinating. And I'll say this, traditional PR as we know it, just media placement, is just going down like that. So it's going to be picked up by the whole. So, and one final question, I think. How much are you finding, again, from you from the client side and the rest of you on the agency side, everything that the ANA does now, it's all accountability, metrics, analytics. How important is, yes, how important do you think it is? And how much are you hearing about it? Are you client or agency?
Yahoo.
Yahoo, okay.
We see it all the time. As you can imagine.
So it's all measurement?
It's all measurement. Ad effectiveness, conversions, brand lift, everything.
Yeah, that whole period of like fun experimenting to try something and see if it works has really gone away. It's much more like, I need to know, like they're kind of sold that they get interactive digital works, so now they want to know what their money's going to and how it's working. A lot more than 2 or 3 years ago where it was just like, we just need an example, we just need to try something. That's changing a lot.
Any other comments about that? Are you finding some media are doing better because of ability to be accountable and measurable? Yes.
We're finding that some clients, especially actually a little bit in the entertainment industry, they're kind of going with the trends as far as the blogs and and updating their websites. But as far as going a step ahead with augmented reality and things like that, they're always a little bit afraid because of the accountability again. So it's tough to find the clients that are really truly kind of brave with that and want to take the next step. That like 2 years ago they would have done what they're doing now, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the problem is like every marketer, I mean, I think anybody with a substantial budget, raise your hand if you have a little bit of a toy chest, right? Like a small percentage of your budget that's your experimental, try something out budget. But after 5 years of doing it, we all kind of get broadly what it takes to make an impact online, and it's a pretty comprehensive, holistic thing. It's not a play experimental budget. What everybody needs to do, and they're sort of struggling with, is like, they know they need to experiment with a giant, comprehensive, integrated digital marketing strategy. But that's way more than their experimental budget. It's a sizable chunk of their budget, so they have to know it's going to work.
To that point, at the ANA last time, Balmer said, take out 5% of your budget and use that for really experimental stuff. And Tripodi from Coke said the same thing.
Yeah, but I mean, that's great when it's like, okay, I'll try augmented reality, or I'll do a viral video, or I'll do a Facebook ad. But what we know now, and what I think everybody intuitively knows in marketing, is that you need to do all of those things in a disciplined, consistent manner, which you can't do with 5% of your budget.
Right. Unless you're Coke.
Yeah, right. Unless you're Coke, right? Or Procter and Gamble.
Right.
Or and P&G, they can do it. They're like, let's take a brand and spend $2 million online and see if that's enough for a year, And we're seeing more pitches like that. But I think for most marketers, it's like they know viscerally how they need to tackle a web. It needs to be methodic and disciplined and go for a long time. But that's more than their experimental play budget is. So they have to take a leap of faith because the metrics aren't quite there yet.
Great. We're at time. One thing I do want to point out, Erica or Denise, if you want to comment on this, these 4-minute videos are available to everybody in this room to be seen on the Effie website, right?
Yes, all the winners for the last several years are available on Effie.org. You can get a chance to see the creative assets, the 4-minute videos, and in most cases actually read the briefs that Doug and Rick actually judged and scored. So you do get a chance to get up close and personal with the winning work. And just curious, how many people here have actually been involved with entering? Like blood, sweat, tears, put one of these things together. Okay, now's the time, if you didn't know. It's entry season right now, and as you can see, it takes a lot of effort to pull a strong case together to enter. So you want to give some time on that now. And best way to do it is take a look at who's won last year.
Yeah, I was going to say, just after judging, I thought a lot of you might be here because you were entering, and reading through the PDFs and watching the videos of the ones on the grand jury made it so much clearer what you need to do to win. Like a lot of them were, like the Canadian Club one's a perfect example. Like they showed efficacy, but they didn't compare it to year on year. There's always something, you can't fudge that numbers. It was amazing watching the judges really hone in on it.
Yeah. And boy, keep it visually clean. The entries visually clean. Yes? I don't mean with the Burger King clean. But, yeah.
I actually had a question about Canadian Club. I was wondering if any of you knew the answer to this. We saw that campaign run in Canada as well, and where I think it's got a little bit of a stronger presence.
All right. I would hope so.
Yeah. But the impact it made even there, we saw them even associate the campaign with Movember, a charity to grow a mustache. So you get a month to shave and then get money donated to grow a mustache. Canadian Club became the principal sponsor of that. I don't know who was involved with it, but they made branded cocktail straws, and at the top of them was a tiny little mustache. So the girls at the party.
Yeah, but that's so clever. And again, we're seeing so much more of that, and it's producing really effective results.
And the company I worked for, our PR specialist at the time, we asked every day, it was a guerrilla marketing company, and all we ever got asked was, is it newsworthy? Is it newsworthy? Every day, every question, is it new, is it news? All day long. But I was wondering if it was just the American stats they had for that campaign?
Yeah, it was American.
It was just
only.
the American.
Yeah.
It was just American?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the competition, though, anything that, it's considered North American, so anything that ran in the U.S. or Canada during a certain time window
But they didn't
is
mention
eligible.
any of the Canadian
Yeah,
stuff
they may
in
not
case
have. They may have focused on U.S. market there.